Hello and welcome. Have you ever just stopped and wondered, what makes me, well, me? Or maybe you've been in a conversation and thought, what is going on in their head right now? Well, today, we're going to decode that very blueprint of human behavior. We're going to use a really powerful framework to understand ourselves and, just as importantly, how we connect with everyone else. Let's dive in.
Really think about it for a second. You're probably one way with your closest friends, right? And then you're a little different with your colleagues in a big meeting. And maybe you're completely different when you're all by yourself. What's driving all those little shifts in your personality? I'll tell you what, it's not random. There's a pattern to it, an internal logic, and that is exactly what we are here to unpack together.
So to find those answers, we're going to need a key. And for this explainer, our key is a pretty fascinating psychological model that helps us read our very own personality code.
And that key? It's a framework called transactional analysis. It was developed by a guy named Eric Berne, and it gives us this brilliant way to understand how we're wired. You can think of it like this. Our ego states are kind of like the different apps running in our mind at any given time. And strokes, well, strokes are the likes and comments we're constantly exchanging in all of our social interactions.
Okay, so let's start by looking inward. I want you to imagine your personality has its own internal operating system. It's running different programs depending on the situation. So let's get right into the core of that system, your ego states.
So, every single one of us has these three ego states inside. The parent, that's our internalized voice of authority. The one that can be nurturing and guiding, or sometimes kind of critical and commanding. The adult is our rational, here and now, problem-solving self. And the child, that's where all our emotions, our creativity, and our gut feelings live. We are shifting between these constantly, all day long. Think about the last conversation you had. Which ego state do you think you were in?
Now, whichever ego state we tend to use most often shapes our fundamental belief about ourselves and other people. Transactional analysis calls this our life position. And as you can see here, there are basically four possibilities. The healthiest one, the one we should all be aiming for, is I'm okay, you're okay. It's the foundation for confidence, for mutual respect, and for any real connection. The others, well, they often lead to defensiveness, conflict, or just plain unhappiness. So, we've got our internal operating system down, but how do we actually interact with the outside world? That brings us to our second key idea, this concept of strokes. You can think of them as the actual currency of human connection.
A stroke is really just any unit of recognition. It could be a nod, a simple hello, a compliment, or even a criticism. The thing is, just like we need food and water to live, we have this deep psychological need for these strokes to feel seen and to feel valued. They are absolutely crucial for our emotional well-being.
And of course, strokes come in different flavors. You've got positive strokes, which build us up, like a manager saying, "You did a fantastic job on that project." Then there are negative ones, and those can really sting. Conditional strokes are given for doing something right, while unconditional strokes, like saying, "I really value having you on the team," are for simply being who you are. We're exchanging these things all day, every day.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. The human need for recognition, for attention, is so incredibly strong that, believe it or not, we would often rather receive negative attention than be completely ignored. To our psyche, being invisible can be one of the most painful things we can experience.
So, what happens when our need for those positive strokes isn't being met? Or what if we're just getting overloaded with negative ones? Well, that is a direct path to stress and conflict. So let's explore how our internal states and our need for recognition get put to the test when we're under pressure. Our bodies have this built-in system for handling stress. First, you get the alarm stage. Your heart starts pounding, you're on high alert. You know the feeling. Then your body goes into the resistance stage, where it's trying to manage the pressure and just function normally. But if that stress just doesn't let up, you hit the exhaustion stage, and that's what can lead to burnout and even illness. But here's the thing, not all stress is created equal. Distress is that draining, awful kind that just wears you down. But eustress is the good kind. It's the excitement of a new challenge, or that little bit of pressure that helps you focus and get the job done. The goal isn't to eliminate stress completely, but to reframe it. So instead of thinking, "I can't handle this," try thinking, "Okay, this is a challenge I can rise to."
And what about conflict? Well, that also comes in two main types. Goal conflict is when you're torn between two different actions, like having to choose between two really good job offers. Cognitive conflict, on the other hand, is an internal clash between your own beliefs.
For example, maybe you believe in being totally honest, but you also really want to avoid hurting a friend's feelings with that honesty. That's cognitive conflict.
Okay, so we've explored our inner world, our ego states, and how we react to pressure. Now let's take all of that and apply it to a situation we all know well, and one that can be pretty challenging: working with other people in a team.
In any group, leadership is absolutely key. And you know, great leaders aren't just born that way. They cultivate specific qualities. Notice how many of these, empathy, clear communication, accountability, tie directly back to maintaining that healthy, I'm okay, you're okay life position and operating from that rational adult ego state. It all connects. Of course, there's more than one way to lead. A democratic leader involves the whole team, which is amazing for creativity and trust, but it can be slow in a pinch. An autocratic leader just takes charge, which is vital in a crisis, but can really demotivate the team over the long term. The very best leaders, they know which style to use and when to use it.
You know, preventing conflict isn't about avoiding disagreement. That's impossible. It's about creating a system that's built on clear rules, open and honest communication, and mutual respect. A place where everyone feels psychologically safe and valued enough to contribute their best work.
So, what's the bottom line here? What does this all boil down to? It's simple. It all starts with you. When you understand your own ego states, your life position, and how you respond to stress, you unlock the ability to communicate way more effectively, to build genuine resilience, and to become a better colleague, a better leader, and just a better team member.
And that brings us to our final thought. Look, knowledge is only powerful when you actually apply it. So, looking back at everything we've just covered, what is the one insight you've gained about yourself that you can put into practice starting right now, today? This journey to self-understanding never really ends, but you've already taken a really important step. Thanks so much for joining me.